believe it is, that you had to be both of them. You had to be a priest. Under the order of Christ, it's an everlasting priesthood, so you don't never retire, you don't never go out. It's when you born till the casket drops. And when if you are so fortunate to make it to the kingdom, and he says, job well done to you, then it will be Melchizedek order till the end of time.
Right, because that's the initial.
And time won't never end because it's called eternity.
That's the initial order. You know what I'm saying? Aaron was reestablished on Mount Sinai to bring you back to what your people do. Like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they all kept the ways of the Lord, and Shem did too. Because remember, Genesis 10 taking it out of the Gentiles and how they spread off into their own nations. Shem stayed back and stayed with Noah.
That's right.
So he learned the ways of the Lord.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Being high priest of Jerusalem.
That's right.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and just to tie both of her answers and her questions together, like the old priesthood, like, you know, like the Catholics, we used to actually do that. Like, we would go through the priest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, the same way brother said, we go through Christ. It's the new priest. You know what I'm saying? He is the new priest forever. So we go through him. He's the high priest forever. You know what I'm saying? So we go through him. It's the same way that the priest is switched now.
And see, it was prophesied in both old and new.
Old and new.
Go ahead. See, that's what Bruce said. Prophesied both old and new. David prophesied about in Psalm 110.
That's right.
Paul prophesied about in Hebrews 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. After the order of Melchizedek. If you don't know what that priesthood order is, you could be worshiping an idol. You have to understand what law you are serving. If you don't believe Christ came or he don't exist, then you must be still under the order of Aaron. You have to be.
Watch the book though, because see, what modern day Christianity teaches is that you're not under the law, but they never explain what law you're not under. You're not under the law to the priest.
Right. Well, not only that, law, sin is what?
Transgression of the law.
If there's no law,
there is no sin.
You can't separate the two.
You can't.
Sin is transgression of the law.
1 John 3 and 4.
If you say he fulfilled the law, what sinners are you talking about?
Right.
Who you telling they sinning to?
Right.
And it ain't no law. See, they do that, but then they sneak back to Malachi 3:8 where the man robbed God under Aaron. Oh, rob God. They go right back into the law because you don't know what order or what priest you should be taking your instructions from.
But they never tell you to read Malachi chapter 2 before
And
you
you
get
get
there.
it.
If you read Malachi chapter 2 before you get to Malachi 3 and 8, you'll understand and open up that wasn't even talking about you. That was talking about the priests violating what they was doing. They was tripping, not doing the service of the Lord right. So they robbed them, not us.
Right. But they know the best way is just to keep you understanding that you don't have to open it up. I will do that for you. I may close it quick. Open it up for a second, but sister, I'm saying this, we're going to move on. The 66 books is a summary.
That's right.
It deals with the beginning of time. Moses wrote Genesis all the way up, all of them. Moses wasn't born around that time.
They was originally
But he
in
took
scrolls.
all the information from the other books when the Most High had them up there 40 days and 40 nights, training them, giving them all the writings of Enoch, and giving them the writings of this prophet, and giving them the writings of Noah and Shem. He got all of that, and he compiled it into this summary. The lost books, those book of Jasher, and the book of Edo, and the book of Nathan, Enoch, they go by day-to-day events. They break it down a little bit more clearer. If you had every book in the Bible, it'd be this thick. You'd be trying to carry like this up there. You know, so it's saying, it's summarizing in here. Everything that's written in those apocrypha can be explained in here, but those go a long way with bringing you into the current situation of what was happening in there. When you read in that book of Jasher about what really was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, you will be stunned. What we read about in here, it was them wicked men knocking on the door, sending the angels out. That gives detail, blow by blow, of what they were doing. They had beds on street corners. Right. You could drive down like a King's Highway and National Bridge, and there's somebody performing what you can get those movies at the swap meet for, live and living color. Promote signs, pull over in this lot, or two inside of the room. Let's get back to these scriptures.
And then just to answer your question, down here, apocrypha actually means hidden.
Right.
Keep secret. So prophecy then the apocrypha that actually identifies the world over the power. So one of the second Ezra, I'll read that real quick to y'all. This is something right here. So they took out a lot of history dealing with the apocrypha. It's right here, second Ezra chapter 6. Ezra and the apocrypha is Ezra. It's right by Nehemiah, scripture is brief. So when he was in Babylon, he had a revelation of the Lord. Second Ezra chapter 6, starting verse 7. He said, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time? So Ezra asked him, when the world gonna be over? When the world gonna be? Right. Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that follows? Verse 8. And he said unto me, what the Most High said to him, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau.
So it's matching up with what's written in the Bible.
Genesis 25. Right. Flip off this. Verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world. For Esau is the end of the world. And Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. As soon as Esau loses his rulership and his empire, the children of Jacob, which are the Israelites, come right up right behind him. That's right. No separation.
That's the next order. So, y'all, we're going to move on for time's sake. Let me get through this lesson, but go ahead, bro.
In this book I got, it's called Classical Biblical Baby Name. And on page 72, it says, according to the commentary on using scripture, Esau is considered a significant character in world history and the forefather of the Roman Empire.
Right. Now you know the Edomites, or those of Esau, who you would call Caucasians. Right. So the Bible deals with nationality, nation.
Hold it down, y'all.
But things taken out, like they removed the apocrypha, which means hidden. So that ain't just only, it's many of them in there. So it got to do with how Babylon gonna fall, who ruling at the end. And at one time, all of it was under one cover.
That's right.
1611, the apocrypha was under the same cover as the King James Bible.
So, y'all, that's just a little bit more clear understanding of why we use those books. And anybody say, well, we got a problem right here, and they need to point it out that it violates the law given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Right. And it has to be because the Apocrypha mentions Christ. Yeah. All of these books mention Christ coming. Right. So they don't change the way the Quran mentioned Christ is one of the chief prophets, but he's not the Son of God. And can't use it. Right. Under no circumstances at that point. You have lowered him to a sinner. He can never be the unblemished lamb at this point. So nothing you got in there we don't even care about at this point. It's a waste of time to go into him explain that he's less than the Son of Man. Buddha. No. Ain't nowhere in here Christ's partner is sitting on a college stool just letting eat while he's on the stool.
And also, sister, John 14 chapter let you know you pray to the Father through His Son.
That's right.
So that's what you do. That's the chain of command of order. We pray to the Father in the name of His only begotten Son. That's the order. John 14 chapter.
Y'all see that? Let's get it. Where we at? 1 Corinthians chapter 10.
Verse 23.
Yes, sir.
I start right there again. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not.
So right at this point, a lot of times you thinking, I should quit my job, even if you're working on the Sabbath right now, you just came into the understanding that, man, the Sabbath day is Saturday, Friday evening to Saturday, that's the Sabbath? Man, I've been working there for the last 10 years. So your wheels turning now. Do I walk off the job? Because you're going to have some explaining to do when you get home. Baby, what you doing home early? I quit that damn job. I found out it's the Sabbath. Sabbath requires. If you walk off, then you eliminate the part of working 6 days. Unless you got something to walk off to that's going to take you Sunday morning through Friday evening. If you don't, you got to make some wise decisions. You got to pray. You got to get in sackcloth. And maybe they'll tell you, hey, you know what? Jimmy's leaving. That shift is over. You be like, thank you, Lord. Right. It wasn't expedient, but you had to make some wise decisions. But it says, keep the Sabbath holy also. When we look up holy, completely the first definition is worthy of worship, honor, and majesty. That can't be, none of us in here can be that holy. That's the only title for the Father. The second definition says holy, to be completely devoted to one's deity. Christ was that, my Father this. My Father that, in my Father's kingdom is this. He was completely devoted, didn't turn to the left or the right. That's the holy we can be, completely devoted to the Father. That don't mean lip service. That means you got to walk it how you talk. Lest you be called a hypocrite. So that's what we have to understand from this perspective of you trying to make those wise decisions in your captivity. Because it's going to be a struggle here. In our homeland, everything's shut down Friday evening. We didn't have to worry about them things. Everybody knew the only people, and there was an expedient issue with that too, because we had to have our soldiers ready to go. They were still standing in attention. You don't think the enemy would have snuck up in there? Man, I ain't jabbing nobody with a spirit. It's the Sabbath. Your baby's sick, hacking and coughing, and you see her turning blue and foaming out the mouth. You say, we got about 3 more hours. Christ say it's good, do good on the Sabbath day. You don't have to work, have Christ on your mind. Look, Christ ain't never put us in a position where we can't enjoy his commandments because they life. But what they do, TGIF, thank God it's Friday, it's time to get drunk and chase wild women at the local after hours joint where they have what's called happy hour. Ain't saying you can't go, but 2 for 1, they're rushing you into full drunkenness on the Sabbath. And they filling them all the way up. Ain't that what we talk about? The first thing, they fill them up. Y'all, the whole thing is to get you into a drunken state on the Sabbath because Christ said, pray that your flight be not in the winter, nor on the Sabbath day. If Christ come back on the Sabbath day and you stretched out, or blunted out, or oxycontin out, or knowledge out, you don't have a problem when you get woke up like this.
Another reason why they do that too is it come along with Greek mythology too, because they name days of the week. So Saturday is Saturn's day, and for their Greek mythology, that's the god of mischief.
Yes, sir.
So,
and you in this land, you must understand
God of mission.
But these scriptures don't explain a lot of what we're talking about, but that's what we're talking about in expedient. You know it's lawful. Ain't nothing to do about working on Saturday. I know the preacher said any day, but it's right here in black and white in these scriptures. I can't fight against that. Because Christ mentions it as his second coming, so it must still be in effect. So when you're looking at that, you have to make wise decisions about your household, because the scripts say, he that does not take care of his household is worse than an infidel. Want the definition of an infidel? Non-believer. So you can talk about it, but everybody hungry. It's going to be a problem. Infidel. Let's get it.
All right. Verse 24. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth.
Y'all think that's talking about digging in somebody's pocket? No, we talk about Isaiah 55:17, 55:1-8, where he talks about come and buy this with no money. You're seeking another's wealth. You want to see them get rich in the spirit? Rich in the doctrine of Christ, so you are seeking their wealth for them to come up. That's why I say I went down to the gutter. I became weak to see them rich. You leave them in the gutter, they can't do nothing for the body of Christ. You get exalted and you get intoxicated with power, can't nobody tell you nothing. Nigga don't want to hear nothing about no book. You see these mansions, these stacks on deck, and old Caprice out there on 30. Hey, look at this. So from that level to this level, it has to be acknowledged. You want to see, because he has faith with him. As soon as the stock market crashes, he's going to be trying to sell all of that stuff. Let's get it. What we at?
Verse 25. Whatever is sold in the shambles,
That's the marketplace.
that eat, asking no question for conscience sake.
Now right here, Paul, a lot of people go to this right there. Preachers will go to this. Paul said that means you can eat whatever they slicing up in the marketplace. Whatever Snooks got. And they separate it. Beef, chicken, pork, scallops, tilapia. Is already separated. So, for conscience sake, if you go to supermarket, but you know they're doing this, and you go into Snooks and they got a separate aisle, what do you think they cutting that up and packaging it in? They got meat cutters work there, don't they? And they wrap it fresh for you, don't they? See, y'all, so we have to understand when he starts saying, eat everything there, he's not saying you can eat the pork. He's going to say, because meats are in there that's on our list not to touch, and we say to ourselves, well, I'm not going in there at all, then you better get a good running car to get to the kosher shops in St. Louis.
Exactly.
That's going to sell all kosher. Well, I shouldn't even say kosher, that's